This right here is a Santa Cruz Chameleon, on loan to me thanks to Hardtail Steve, aka Hardtail Party. I'll link to his channel up here, and again, thanks Steve. Believe it or not, I do have a bit of an extensive history with Santa Cruz Chameleons. I got my first one when I was in, probably middle school or something, like 1998, something like that. And I set it up to be like a all-around play bike. I'd used it for like a couple of trials competitions, and I rode it like just in the driveway doing tricks and stuff, bunny hops. And then I started to take it trail riding pretty soon after that. The whole point of the Chameleon over the years has been that it can do a lot more than just one thing. It's not just a trail bike, it's not just a cross-country bike, and it's not just like a dirt jumper. It's got pretty neutral geometry that can handle all that stuff. Let's not go big right here. This right here is a size medium aluminum Chameleon. It's currently set up in the mullet configuration with a SRAM build kit. I'm gonna swap a couple parts out on this. Basically just, I gotta put pedals on it, and I'm gonna throw on my matching 29-inch wheel set. But this is an EXO casing tire set, and I don't wanna get out there and just send it into a rock and destroy this tire, because then I gotta go buy Steve a new tire. I'd love to throw on my P&W components, handlebar stem, and my P&W dropper post. But I don't think that's within my scope of time here. This is kind of a short-term loaner. I'm gonna get busy, throw some different wheels on here, some pedals, set up the fork, and then we're gonna go ride this thing together. I'll take you on the first ride of this Chameleon. I'm stoked. I have spent so many years riding Chameleons. It's cool to get back on a modern one. So my bike rack here in Sedona is my gymnastics rings. So there are different dropouts available to help retain the stock geometry. This bike is compatible with both 29 and 27.5. The modified Chameleon, 29-inch front and rear. Let's get this thing out on the trails for the first inaugural Chameleon ride since probably 2007 or so. It's been a while. Rather than run a sponsor for this video, I thought I'd let you know that every month I post an unpublished riding tutorial, full length, completely edited, but it's only published over to my Patreon page. If you become a patron, not only will you have my everlasting gratitude, but you'll have access to over 40 existing riding tutorials. Membership tiers start at only $7, and I'll link to the Patreon page up at the top right corner of your screen and in the description box just below. I also want to thank my personal sponsors, so a big shout out to P&W Components, Industry 9, and Jensen USA. I'm gonna grab my winter gloves, and I'm stoked on my big helmet because it's about 35 degrees outside. I can see the caliper flexing over. Wow, that's kind of scary. I gotta get a razor blade or a screwdriver or something and dig out those grommets so I can adjust my seat post, get it a little higher. Try something like that. Oh, so much better. Oh, back end is nice and short. Front brakes don't really work. First mini ride on the new Chameleon was definitely a lot of fun. I would like this to be slacker. Not really any longer, just slacker. I'm gonna add some more air to the fork. I wish the fork had more travel too. I don't have an air shaft here. So more air pressure to the fork. Might even go even firmer on the compression damping. And then I'm gonna lift the stem up all the way on the fork steer so the handlebars are higher. And that'll all work. Put more weight on the rear wheel. Oh. Good evening. How are you? Awesome. Nice. Have a good New Year. You too. It's nice being on a light hardtail. Plays to the strengths of this type of bike. So I'm a little nervous through this stuff with the head angle, and I don't think the change in rear wheel is the problem. I think the problem is about 3 degrees, maybe 2 degrees. Changing wheels like maybe a 1 degree at most, maybe a half. I'll measure it. Whoa. The high bottom bracket feels great though. Oh, go ahead, man. Yeah, I'm probably gonna stop and see if there's anyone hiking. And
Jeff, right? Yeah, do you live on this side of town? I've seen your bike before.
No, I live in Flagstaff.
Oh, cool.
I bike down here all the time.
Nice.
Yeah, nice to meet you. I've seen a lot of your videos.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I really like them.
What's your name?
Casey.
Casey.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, Casey.
Yeah.
Whoa. I'm gonna ride with Joe Murray from Flagstaff in a couple days. It was nice riding a 29-inch rear wheel through the rough on the hardtail. It's not that much bigger than the 275 with the 2.6 tire on the Stylus, but it's getting rough. Yeah, definitely rolls easier through the rough. Feels like you have more margin for error. That wasn't too bad. Wow, that's bumpy on this thing. Let's not go big right here. I'd really like to get an angle set on here and a 140/36. That's some cush core. I gotta snap in and pedal home. All right, let's check the air pressure. So I was running the damper sticking out at, oh, I don't know, if that's noon, that's probably, we'll go proper 3. I think I was at 130, now we're at 3. And then I'll do a little more air. 70 PSI, let's go up to 85. Okay, much higher. Hopefully this is more fun. The Santa Cruz Chameleon. This thing's pretty sweet. So temperature just went from 21 to 28 in the last hour. The low today is 19. Woo, high of 45. So it might look warm out there, but it is anything but. Oh. Oh my goodness. The ground is kind of frozen. All that white, that's frost. And snow still, it didn't melt from yesterday. So 0 regrets of having raised the handlebars with the steer tube there. Feels good. Fork pressure feels better. Bike handle's better all around. It's a long bike, long front center. You probably don't believe me. Look at that. So this trail is honestly boring on the SB130. That bike's fantastic, and it's more fun on this trail than a bigger bike like a Ripmo. But man, something like a hardtail makes this intermediate level trail by Sedona standards just super fun. I'm a big fan. Someone commented on the internet, it makes more sense to have 2 different bikes than one really nice bike. And I think they were correct. If you have bikes that complement each other, like a hardtail and a full squish, that's the jam. And everyone's different too. Some folks aren't gonna take the time to ride the hardtail as much. Yada, yada. Oh, this thing handles nice through that. There we go. Oh, man, this bottom bracket height feels great in those corners. People need to get off their thing about low BBs. Whew. Wow, the sand is frozen in place. Creek is running and there's just like a snowbank of frozen bubble ice right there. That is a trip. Wow. I spent a good deal of time here in Sedona and I've never seen it this cold. Clearly it happens. All right, we're trying to be as respectful as possible of other people.
This shot right here is a great example of why I like riding hardtails so much.
Oh, icy.
The shorter back end combined with the shorter wheelbase and lack of any kind of sag and suspension travel means this bike is really easy to get off the ground. It's also easy to place it wherever you want to on the trail.
Narrow. Oh gosh. Some of my favorite corners just because the view is so good as you go around it.
So when you're actually on a hardtail,
Yeah.
you're gonna notice a lack of rear wheel traction compared to a full suspension. You're also gonna notice the impacts that go directly to your spine and lower back.
Front brake's not really grabby enough. Oh gosh, there's ice down here. Oh God. Oh, that was a harsh one. I will admit, full suspension would be a little smoother there. I'm not gonna pretend like hardtails aren't hardtails. One of my favorite things with the hardtail is the built-in excuse. Oh, you didn't go fast down that rocky section. Yeah, bro, I'm on a hardtail. Oh, dude, you didn't clean that climb. Yeah, dude, I'm on a hardtail. Oh, dude, you're tired. Yeah, I'm on a hardtail.
And yes, for any of you conniving types, you can indeed get a hardtail as a quote-unquote buddy bike to loan to your friend, just to make sure you're gonna end up being faster in the downhills than them. But if they do end up beating you, you might just have to eat your shoe. This section is another good example of how I'm constantly manipulating the hardtail, putting it exactly where there, hopefully, aren't rocks. This is a big part of why I like riding a hardtail just so much.
Oh, I am not Ooh, look at this drop. I'm not gonna send it. Hardtail. I could have sent that. All right, we're gonna have to send that. There we go. I did a whole tutorial on landing front wheel versus rear wheel first. And for something like that, I would much rather land rear wheel first. Drop some landing gear. Oh, the short wheelbase fit on that rock. That was cool.
One of my favorite things about trying different bikes on usual trails is that they really inspire me to do some different stuff. Like take this Tech Climb Challenge, for instance. I hadn't really messed around on this since I actually did a video with Steve, and check this out.
First try. Man, cheater pedals just take all the skill out of this. I just made it through this first try as well, and then made it up about halfway up that, and I was like, wait a second, let's film this. I'll just film piece by piece, because that's what I gotta do. I'm pretty excited to have made it up the hardest part of this trail. First try. That felt incredible. The next hardest part, squeezing through the juniper tree and the rock, I got through it pretty good on the first attempt as well. Gave it a couple more to film it. And then the rock ledge, I made it up the skinny hopper line. Made it up that thing first try as well. Sorry, I'm a little tired today. It's cold. I catch my breath at the track stand.
In case you guys aren't aware, I just did a whole video about how clipless pedals make this stuff incredibly easy compared to flat pedals. So I think we can all just go ahead and say that clipless pedals are cheating. Wink.
There we go.
Here's another better view of getting through that little rocky, ledgy stair step section. The clips are helping out so much here compared to flats.
I don't know if you can see those footprints. I think that might have been a coyote.
This is a great example of the kind of scenario where that caliper mount's gonna be flexing around a little bit.
Caliper mount flexes so much.
For me, these kind of ridiculous technical climb challenges are a ton of fun. And at the end of the day, that's what riding a hardtail is all about, having a ton of fun. Sure, it builds skills and all that, but you know what? There's nothing wrong with having a good time while you're at it.
Okay, if you borrow someone's bike, in my opinion, it's essentially you return it cleaner than you got it. It's a party without a shock and you're invited.
I went ahead and measured the geometry of the Chameleon with the way I was riding it, the dual 29-inch wheels, but the mullet dropout. Head tube angle was 66 degrees. So going to the proper dropout, and I double checked with the mullet wheels, it was indeed a 65. That's a step in the right direction. That said, I was looking for more like a 64 or possibly even slacker head tube angle on this bike. There are angled headset adjusts you can get that work pretty well in this day and age, and you could probably go to a touch longer fork travel. So this is not a deal breaker by any means, but I would like a little bit slacker angle on this bike. I also noticed that rear brake caliper flex. I do a lot of more high performance trials moves. Not a whole lot of people are riding like that, so it's probably not applicable, but I do want to be transparent that it kind of freaked me out a little bit, and I noticed it at one of those slow speed moves. Again, it's not going to matter for most of you, and finally, at the end of the day, this bike's a really good deal. If you need a second bike, a loaner bike for your friend that's kind of maybe getting into it, or you just want a bike for when your full suspension bike's off getting fixed up, this is a solid way to get into the hardtail world. It's a lightweight bike. You can go fast on it, you can go far on it, and you can have fun with it. Jensen USA is a dealer for Santa Cruz bikes, but they're not allowed to sell Santa Cruz bikes on the internet. That said, they've got a great page up on their website that goes over the Chameleon pricing, build spec, and geometry. So if you want to learn more about the Chameleon, check out that link in the description over to Jensen USA. Anything you purchase from Jensen from that link will also help support my channel. I personally loved my Chameleons over the years, and I had a great time riding this one. So thank you to Hardtail Steve. Thanks to all of you for being here and watching, and I will see you all in the comments down below. Peace, guys.